The Conjuring universe brought the pioneers of paranormal investigations, Ed and Lorraine Warren, to the public's eye. But what do you really know about this extraordinary and controversial couple? Both devout Catholics, Ed considered himself a demonologist, and Lorraine was a self-proclaimed clairvoyant. Their career spanned more than 50 years. They investigated alleged hauntings, wrote books. They even lectured on paranormalism. But who were they really? If you want to know more about this extraordinary couple, or you want to see the Viking Rune Witch look that I'm going to create to commemorate this storytelling, then keep watching. So, I'm doing a kind of Viking Rune Witch look to go with this Spooktacular Saturday story. The first thing I want to talk about is I'm just going to give kind of a brief background on who Ed and Lorraine Warren were. And I'm going to talk about one of their less famous haunting cases. And if you like this story, Ed and Lorraine Warren have multiple interesting stories, many of which haven't even hit the movie universe yet. So if you want to hear about the movie universe, the Conjuring movies, or the Annabelle movies, or The Nun, or if you want to know about what's lesser known, their involvement with the Amityville Horror, all of these things I can talk about. But drop it in the comments. Do you like story time? Do you like Spooktacular Saturday? Let me know if you want to hear more. But in the meantime, what have I done? I did my foundation, and I mixed my foundation with some of the LA Girl Pro Cover High Definition Long Wearing Illuminating Foundation in white. Just white. And I mixed that to give myself a paler look. I also set down with a talcum, well, not talcum, but a baby powder, so I get that really white look. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, both of them were born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He was born in 1926, and she was born in 1927. Sippy stuff. Now, Ed, he believed that he was born into a haunted house. From the ages of 5 to 12, he heard knocking sounds, he saw shadows, he heard footsteps, he even heard names being called out. It terrified him, and his father always said that there was a logical explanation for everything going on in the house, but he never actually could provide that explanation. I am using my Lunar New Year, BH Cosmetics Lunar New Year 2021 palette. If it's pressed powders, don't judge me. It's expired, I know. But I'm using that. I'm going to do my contour with the black a little bit. I want to just touch on it, just ever so slightly. And we're just going to dot it on and blend it out. We're going to blend that out a lot. So I'm going to take a cloth and remove all the excess product while we talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, the Warrens met in 1944, and Lorraine, believing that she had this kind of sixth sense, she knew when she met Ed that he was the one, but she didn't see him as this young, virile, kind of skinny, scrawny guy. She saw him as the man she would eventually marry. All grown up, adult. He was the guy. So they did marry, just like she predicted, in 1945. And this was all thanks to actually a sunken naval ship. You see, Ed, when he was 17, just before 1945, he enlisted in the Navy. Now, he was sent back home on a 30-day survivor's leave after he was there for a total of 4 months, because the ship that he was on sunk, and several of the members of the ship also passed away. It went down in the North Atlantic Sea. It was during this survivor's leave that they got married and conceived their only child, Judy. Now, eventually, Ed gets out of the military, and his fascination with supposedly haunted houses led him to go exploring and sketching these supposedly haunted homes. He would show and sell his drawings to the owners of the homes, and while the money was decent, his main goal was to be invited in and talk a little bit more about the hauntings that he perceived were going on inside these houses. Alright, so still using the same eyeshadow palette. I'm going to use that for my blush. Using a very little bit of a dark shade called Red Panda. This one right here. I'm going to make that my blush. And I'm keeping this kind of around my eyes and temples. So let's keep talking. So soon, Ed and Lorraine Warren became kind of the sweethearts of the paranormal believing community. Let's see if we can blend this out, because this is actually showing up a little bit more dramatic than I wanted it to. So they started lecturing at colleges and high schools, but then people started reaching out to them for help with strange occurrences in their homes. Now, they covered many famous paranormal cases during their prolific career. Often they were keeping items from, supposedly haunted items from their cases in a self-made museum they kept in their home that closed shortly after Lorraine's passing in 2019. Alright, so we are going to start with the color Fortune. It's kind of this light orangey reddish shade, and I'm going messy. Alright, we're going to go all over the place. So I'm going to take this on a big fluffy brush, and we're just going to go all around the eye. They investigated over 10,000 cases. 10,000. I can barely count 10,000 steps. 10,000 cases. Now, some of the most famous of these included the Harrisville farmhouse, which was the inspiration for The Conjuring. They also investigated a haunted Raggedy Ann doll, which inspired 3 spin-off Annabelle movies. And, of course, the famous Amityville Horror. But one of their more obscure cases was the Lindley Street house in Bridgeport, Connecticut in November of 1974. It was a small bungalow-style home that became the nexus for one of the most documented hauntings in Connecticut history. Let me bring this down so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just taking that shade Fortune and creating kind of a circle around my eyes. Now, Gerard and Laura Gooden reportedly experienced otherworldly forces that would move furniture, break windows, levitate objects. It would even make the family cat talk. The family cat. You heard correctly. I mean, even Tom from Tom and Jerry, he would only yelp and occasionally holler. If my cat just looked at me and said to me one day, "You're screwed," I'd definitely freak out like Daffy Duck. That's... Alright, I'm going in with another fluffy brush, and we're going to do a little bit more red. But I'm going to do a darker shade of red as soon as I find the right fluffy brush, and I found it. So we're going in with the shade Mandarin. No, I'm going to go in with the shade Red Panda, which is the same shade I used on my cheeks. We're going to do that. And we're just going to kind of cut out the crease a little bit more. Now, As the frequency and intensity of these events at the Lindley Street house started to increase, eventually firemen and police were called to the scene. In addition to this, a crap ton of reporters and onlookers also began to gather around the small cottage-like house. Among the thousands that started gathering around the dwelling were priests, paranormal investigators, and, of course, the Warrens. Okay, now we'll talk about the legitimacy versus the illegitimacy of these claims a little later. But what made these claims seem credible was the extremely high number of what were considered to be reliable sources testifying to what they saw there. Again, I'm just doing circles of red all over. I'm going to fill in the blanks with black. So this is going to be kind of a spooky look. Ooh. Okay, so besides the Goodins and their friends, there were more than 24 firefighters, police officers, other investigators, and they saw countless implausible events taking place, such as couches and other furniture just moving all over the place. There were tables, even a refrigerator levitating in midair. There were crucifixes and other artwork that was just falling and flying off the walls. There were even knives just shooting across the room. Knives! Did you hear me? Knives shooting across the room. Going in with another fluffy brush, and we're going to hit the black. These witnesses also spoke about audio phenomena, unexplainable knocking, banging sounds. You even heard disembodied voices. At one point, it was even reported that Sam, the family cat, allegedly had said several things, and this included jingle bells and bye-bye. Hell, even the swan lawn decoration was reported as having been talking or making unearthly sounds. It was crazy. So even though the Goodins stated that these events began to a lesser degree in 1968, it was really in November of 1974 that all of this came to a head. This is when stakeouts of a large amount of investigators began, including members of the American Society for, Psychical Research. Okay, let me say that again. American Society for Psychical Research. Also the Psychical Research Foundation, and of course the Warrens, as well as the police, had started. What was happening was investigators and reporters were congregating around this cottage-sized home, and with them were a whole slew of community onlookers also coming around and holding their own personal little vigils. So I'm going to be looking off camera for a moment because I want to read you a snippet from an article featured in Damned, Connecticut regarding the case on the Lindley Street. So I'm going to read this real quick. An article from Damned, Connecticut stated the situation seemed to be getting more intense when a few weeks into the investigation, a police officer witnessed the Goodins' adopted daughter, Marcia, attempting to tip over a TV with her foot when she thought that no one was watching. Being caught in the act, she soon confessed that she was responsible for all of the activities in the home and explained how she had done it. The event was soon declared a hoax by the relieved police, who ended the official investigation, although questions remained as to how Marcia had been able to perpetrate some of the witnessed events when she wasn't in the house, or those when she had been in another room. Most of the investigators, press, and curious crowds all soon went away. So this kid confessed to doing it, but she couldn't explain how she did it when she wasn't around. She could only explain how she did it when she was there. Oh. Anyway, This look, you've seen me do lashes and liner a million times, so I'm going to do that off camera. But I'm also going to do a little unique rune scripting with some eyeliner, so when I come back, I'm going to have some painted images. If you want to see what I've done and hear the summary of this whole story, don't go away. And we're back. So I did my lashes, I put some ColourPop black liner in my waterline, and I used a liquid liner to do these kind of rune symbols on my face. For my lips, I'm going to be using my eyeshadow palette, some of the reds, and I'm going to be using my Juvia's Place liquid lipstick in black. Yes, the color is called Doo-Doo, D-U-D-U. If you are 12 like me, you're giggling, but that's what it's called, Doo-Doo. Alright, so go figure that. But let's go ahead and work with the reds first around the lips. So I'm going to start with Fortune, and we're going to kind of wrap this up. Now, even with the confession of Marcia and her apology for her role in the haunting of the house, strange occurrences supposedly continued to happen for several weeks after her confession. Now, eventually the activities did cease. Hold on. I'm working. Alright, I can't talk and do my lipstick at the same time, so we are going to go ahead and get this done, and then I will wrap this up. Okay? Alright. So I'm doing a little red around the lips, and then I'm going to put the black lipstick on. Oh, I also forgot to do a little highlighter, so I'm going to take my Sorich highlighter in Glow Light. It's just this little tiny little thing here. I'm going to do a little boop in the inner corner here. A little boop in the inner corner here. We're going to put a little bit on our face, on the nose, and a little bit on the cheeks up here. And let's put some lipstick on, and then we'll wrap this up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put on a wig. I'm going to get dressed and we'll do the final reveal. But before we go, just to let you know, more than 40 years later, this haunting is still in conflict. There are some who believe it was just a young girl's hoax, but there are others who were there, who said they saw unexplainable phenomenon that could not have been performed by just a small child. Whether you believe it or not, one thing holds true is that to this day, it is Connecticut's most famous haunting. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to tune in on the next episode, next Saturday the 30th, when I announce the winner of the P. Louise Wedding Wish palette. I'm going to duplicate your look and announce the winner, and I'll reach out to you personally. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me. Let me go ahead and get dolled up. We'll do the final reveal. But in the meantime, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to grow the channel. Tell me in the comments what you want to see. Did you like this story? Do you want to hear more about the Warrens? Do you want to hear some more haunted history? Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, stay magical.